Hello! Welcome to another Southern New Hampshire University's Learning Center tutorial on how to use Minitab Express. In this video, we'll strictly be talking about running a multiple regression test. If you haven't done so already, you're going to need to install Minitab on your computer. You can do that by either going to Minitab's website and downloading Minitab Express, or you can get it through the Southern New Hampshire University Blackboard site. If you need assistance with getting it through the Southern New Hampshire University page, then I would suggest going to the tutorial video within this series that helps you with the installation process of Minitab Express. Once you've done that and you have it installed, please open up Minitab and you should be looking at something very similar to what it is that I have on screen right now. So once Minitab is open, you will select Statistics and you will select the multiple regression option over here. I've already entered in my data. There are going to be tons of different ways that you can input your data, but it totally depends on what type of question it is that you're working with. So for me, in my scenario, I've created a bunch of data that talks about test grades, and I'm trying to predict what things you can do in order to improve your test grade. So I have 6 individuals here that I've just kind of created for this scenario, where I've put in their test grades, I've put in the number of hours studied for the test, the hours of sleep they got the night before, and the number of days that they studied. Ignore that typo. So yeah, this basically is just how many days they've studied for it. So like if they've only 2 days of the week they looked at the material, that'd be a 2. If they studied the night before, then it'd just be 1. But yeah, I just made that up. So whatever scenario it is that you're working with, it doesn't necessarily have to be these numbers, but for the sake of this tutorial, I've just kind of created this scenario here. So just keep in mind that your response variable is what you're looking for, and your explanatory variable is things that you would think would explain it. So in this case, I'm telling you that I believe that hours studied, hours sleep, and the number of days studied are significant explanatory variables towards a test grade, which is the response. So in this case, I'm going to select test grade as my response because that's the thing that I care about and I'm trying to predict. So then in this option below, it says continuous predictor. So then I'm going to select all the things that I believe are good predictors of that response. For more things that you could have outputted, you could select the graphs option here and you can have it print out residual plots and things like that. But for the sake of this tutorial, I'm just going to keep it simple and just talk about the multiple regression at hand. So once I've entered in my predictors here, or my explanatory variables, I'm going to hit OK, and it's going to run the multiple regression test. So basically the important parts here are the analysis of variance. It gives you your regression equation here. So if you were supposed to predict a test grade, so like let's say you wanted to apply this to yourself, if you took note of how many hours you studied, hours of sleep, and the number of days studied, you could just plug that information into this equation and try and predict what test grade you would get based off of all this data. So this is important sometimes depending on the question that's asking. This is the equation, like I said. This is like your R squared value here. The R squared value basically tells you the percentage of data that would be explained by your equation. Basically, the higher the R squared value is, the more appropriate your model is for that situation. But again, I'm going to try and stay away from all the math of it because these tutorials are strictly just trying to get you familiar with Minitab and how to run the tests within the program. So I'm just going to go up ahead here, and then yes, the analysis of variance. These are the 3 variables here: hours studied, hours of sleep, and number of days studied, and it gives you p-values for all of those variables. So that's the important part. If you're specifically testing to see if a specific variable is a good explanatory variable, then you would look at just that variable's p-value and compare it to your level of significance to find out if it's significant or not. If you're just trying to figure out which variables you would get rid of or keep, I think right now the way we've been doing it is that you would only get rid of one at a time, and it'd be your highest p-value. So my scenario, my highest p-value is the number of days studied. So that'd be the one that I'd want to get rid of. So I would run the regression model again, but I wouldn't include number of days studied because that's my least significant predictor out of the 3. So then I would run the test again, and then it would tell me this model, and my p-values would change, and you would then use this model or whatever. So it totally depends on what your professor or whatever it is that you're working on wants you to do. But these are the basic ideas of how to do a multiple regression test or model, in this case, using Minitab Express. When you've ran multiple regressions, or several, I should say, you can use the navigator window on the side, and these are all the things that you've had Minitab run during your session of the program. So I've run multiple regression twice, so these are my two models here. And then you can compare the two and things like that. So, like I said, it totally depends on what it is exactly that you need to do with Minitab, or whatever it is that your professor is asking you, or things like that. But just keep in mind that these are the basic ways on how you would use multiple regression using Minitab Express. So yes, I hope this video helped. Please check out any of the other videos that are within this series about how to use Minitab to try and familiarize yourself with the program, so that way you can apply it to your own questions and hopefully utilize the really awesome potential that Minitab Express has. But yeah, like I said, hopefully this video helped.